Hi, Bloody Recaps here. Today I'm going to explain thriller and horror movie, Green Room. Keep your eyes open and stay focused. Pat wakes up in a car that has gone off the road into a cornfield because the driver, named Tiger, has passed out and they have been standing all night with the engine running, which means they no longer have any fuel. Sam turns out to have a charged phone, so the guys are going to go to an ice rink 18 kilometers away. The guys decide not to walk, so Sam and Pat sneak into a nearby parking lot and pump gas. Their foursome is part of the punk rock band The Wrong Ones. They travel the west coast of the United States to make some money. The guys arrive in Portland, where they are greeted by promoter Ted, who founded their gig, and leave them in a house to spend the night. Pat is the first to fall asleep, and you can tell by the marker on his face. Ted gets them ready for the show and asks why they aren't on social media and records it on a tape recorder because he wants to put it on the radio. Pat gives him the answer right away that when people listen to music on social networks, the texture and emotion of the performer is lost. Unfortunately, while they were driving 140 kilometers, Ted's license was taken away because his last performance ended horribly. So he makes them a new offer and they perform at a diner. When the guys are paid off, Reese pounces on Ted because they were paid almost $7 each. Ted makes a final offer near Portland where they can really make money. The guy makes a deal, they get $350. They have to perform in front of Skinheads, but the guys are sensible like his brother Daniel, who hates politics. They arrive at the venue and are met by Daniel, and the manager of the place, Gabe, walks the band into the dressing room and reminds them to go out at 3 o'clock. Pat comes up with a crazy idea, but on the stage he is already trying to dodge it. The idea was to start the performances with the band's fifth single, Dead Kennedys, namely Punky Nazi Shut Up. Glasses are already being thrown at them, and Pat and Gabe notice the odd Nazi action in the crowd, but the rest of the performance went well. When they're done performing, their stuff is carried out into the hallway because the main speakers have arrived. Big Justin pays them to perform and asks them to follow him, but Sam has forgotten her phone, so she asks Pat to pick it up. Our guitarist bursts into the room and finds a girl with a knife in her skull. He tries to call the cops and run, but Gabe takes the phone and resets the call, then asks everyone to wait while he takes care of something. Gabe comes back with a gun and leads everyone to the dressing room and then picks up the emergency phone and reports a stabbing. And when he returns, he asks not to be disturbed because the police and a certain Darcy are on their way. Gabe paid 2 guys to stab one of them, so the cops wouldn't find the girl's body in the building. Darcy, the owner of the place, is already here. Gabe goes back to the guys. All the skinheads who were present at the murder are let out, and one of the monotone men compliments them on their performance. Justin immediately asks them not to even think about running away. And Gabe and Darcy are already searching their car and discussing who else might know of their whereabouts besides Daniel and Ted. Things are already getting tense in the room as the guys want to break out, but Darcy and Gabe's voices can be heard from behind the door. They ask Justin to get the bullets and give the guys the gun, but a girl named Amber warns the guys that they're just putting on a show. The company attacks Justin and says they will only open the door for the police. Darcy realizes that their plans are falling apart before his eyes. In that case he is going to do it here. It is necessary to put guards on the road. In the room, they make Justin say make up and don't fight anymore, and then they let him go. The skinheads outside are already cleaning out their van and ask Daniel to cite in 5 red shoelaces today. In the room, Justin is already emptying his pockets and breaking his phone, and the lights suddenly go out. Amber wastes no time and lights a cigarette to pass to the big guy and asks Reese to shoot if he doesn't like the movement of the cigarette. One of the guys finds some kind of crack in the floor, but the light comes back on. Darcy turns it off on purpose and informs the audience that one of their engines has burned out, so that's it for today and they're expecting them on Sunday. All drinks from 2 to 4 are free. Daniel has already put together the red shoelaces at the bar, and Darcy gives the guys the drugs for keeping quiet about it and shutting up for a lurking of days. Tiger draws a cross on where he saw daylight and Darcy's voice is heard outside the door. He asks to pick one speaker and come to the door. Pat has a dialogue with him and asks to trade an unregistered gun for a phone. But Darcy asks how he should proceed if an out-of-town band is locked in his dressing room bar with a dead body and a possible hostage. The guys realize he could really report it to the police and they're done. Amber sits down at the bars of the door and Pat is about to hand over the gun, but she notices a man in red shoelaces grabbing Pat's arm. Tiger tries to fight back with a sharp stick, but ends up injuring Pat's arm and Reese breaks Justin's arm. Darcy says it will all be over soon, but Justin gets up and is about to attack, but Reese defeats him and knocks him out with a chokehold, but he gets up again and Amber cuts open his belly to be sure. Darcy again lies to his colleagues on the street that a group of musicians killed 2 others like them to turn their charges against the young company. The guys have already broken out a hole in the floor and it turns out to be a basement. There turns out to be huge packages of heroin, but the door they are trying to break down is soundproofed from the street. Reese finds duct tape and goes back to bandage Pat's arm. They decide to go outside and the loud music immediately dies down. In the darkened hall a dog pounces on Tiger and rips his throat open and Reese gets out, but the red shoelaces immediately kill him with a knife. Sam defends himself from his attacker with a fire extinguisher, and Amber fights off the dog with a microphone. Pat figures out that she can be scared away by the ultrasound and runs off with her owner. The guys return and lock themselves in the room, and Darcy sends 2 red lanyards with machete inside. They break into the room and Sam escapes and Amber tells Daniel that Darcy's men did it because they found out she was leaving but didn't say what's with him. Darcy finds things in Gabe's car that he and the dead girl were going to leave with. He finds a bat there that Gabe had to get rid of after the last murder. The guys go down to get Sam and say that Daniel is now on their side and will try to get them out of there. Darcy hands out the guns and they leave the room and Daniel pulls shotgun ammo out from under the counter, but catches a bullet from one of the enemies. The girls restrain him and Pat chops his neck with a machete. They go outside. Amber is shot in the leg, and Sam misses and is attacked by a dog. Pat goes back inside already with only Amber and bandages her leg, and the men hang the locks on the door and ask them to start cleaning up. Gabe surrenders the poor men's phones and Darcy promotion heat by giving out red shoelaces. They leave, for they don't care about the evidence anymore. Things have gone on too long. Inside, the ultrasonic sound has started again and the dog has escaped into the woods, so they are left with only the guns. They break down the door and are waited on by Pat, who jumps into the basement and purposely tries to create loud noises. One of the skinheads goes downstairs and the other stays upstairs, but Amber gets out of the couch and slits the other's throat. And Gabe doesn't hear the sound of the shots because he's cleaning up his tracks. The skinhead takes 1 shot at Amber but misses. He only has 2 rounds left. She cheats him 2 times and leaves him with no ammo and drops the gun, but it turns out to be empty and Pat behind him is already loading the shotgun with the ammo he found earlier, but makes a shot past him and the guy attacks him, but Amber comes down and loads the gun and gets rid of him. When they get to the top, Gabe apologizes and says he doesn't want to go to jail. There's a dog walking down the street that escaped earlier, and the guys walk through the woods and want to send Gabe to a nearby campground to call the cops. Amber and Pat go on and find their car and take the skinheads prisoner. They find the crime scene they billed as if they were at fault and entered someone else's territory with a caution dog sign. But when one turns around, gets shot by Amber, and Darcy gets shot by Pat, Gabe goes out to the settlement and asks for the police, and the dog walks past the car where the interview that Ted recorded with the guys is playing. The dog comes at the couple, but their clip turned out to be empty, but the dog wasn't going for them but for his dead master, with whom he lay down next to him. Support the channel by subscribing, like and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.